Alright, today we're going to talk about literal equations. Basically, a literal equation is this. This is, if we have something like, not a y, like an 8 equals 2x, and we solve for x, we divide by 2, and we get x equals 4. A literal equation is if that said y equals 2x, okay? It's solving for one variable in terms of the other. So, for example, we could have x plus y equals 4 and solve for y, meaning we're going to subtract the x and keep it y equals 4 minus x. That's what a literal equation is. Now, the reason we use them are applications such as this one. Right here, we have this word problem. Your best friend lives on the opposite end of Cobbetts Pond from you, 2 miles apart. Your friend is having a cookout and you want to work up an appetite on your way, so you will swim there. If you know you swim at a rate of 50 feet per minute, what time do you need to leave in order to make it to our cookout by 12 noon? So what we're going to do is look at the equation that deals with rate, time, and distance. That equation is distance equals rate times time. Okay, first I'm going to move the map out of the way. If you notice, this is a map. Here's your Cobbetts Pond, 2 miles from end to end. Alright, so we'll move that. Now, we know that distance equals rate times time, so we have a time that we need to be there by. The question says, what time do you need to leave? So time is what we need to solve for. Okay, so this is rate times time. So just as in up here in this equation, we did 2 times x equals 8, we divided both sides by 2 because 2 is the opposite of multiplying. We're going to divide both sides by r. So you get t equals d divided by r. Now, in our equation, in our word problem, we have time equals our distance is 2 miles, and our rate is 50 feet per minute. Now, we can't do miles divided by feet. That doesn't work. So we need to convert. We know, well maybe you know, but you should, 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Okay, in 1 mile. So if we have 2 miles, if we multiply that by 5,280 feet per mile, per 1 mile, right? This is what's called unit conversion, okay? The miles can cancel. We end up doing 2 times 5,280. That equals 10,560 feet. So now when we figure out our time, we have 10,560 feet instead of 2 miles divided by 50 feet per minute gives us, when you divide there, you get 211.2 minutes. Okay, and that, because those feet cancel, so you are left with minutes. Now, would you say you have to leave 211 minutes prior? No. Let's change that to hours. So I'm going to come over here. 211.2 minutes times, we know that there's 1 hour for every 60 minutes. So again, unit conversion, minutes cancel. And what you're going to end up doing is 211.2 divided by 60. That gives us 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours, and therefore if you need to be there by 12 noon, or you want to be there by 12 noon, you need to leave at approximately 8:30 a.m. And that's how I figure that out. Alright, so now let's look at some other literal equations. If an equation that contains more than one variable is to be solved for a specific variable, use the same techniques that you use to solve equations to isolate the specified variable on one side. So, for example, you have 2x minus 4y equals 8. you need to solve for y. So we need to get y by itself. So just think if you had, I don't know, 2 minus 4y equals 8, and we were solving for y. The first thing we would do is subtract that 2, because that's our variable term, correct? Yes, thanks for agreeing. So negative 4y, and we actually do 8 minus 2 is 6. Well, over here you can do the same thing. This is the variable you want to solve for, the variable term. So what you want to do first is minus that 2x. The only difference with the literal equations is that you can't combine 8 minus 2x. They're not like terms. So you just leave it 8 minus 2x. Okay, next step over to this equation on the right, that's multiplication, so we divide both sides by negative 4, which gives us y equals negative 3/2 when you reduce. On this side, you do the same thing, divide by negative 4. Now, I'll tell you 2 different ways to do it. You can divide everything by negative 4 like this. So you have 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2, and then negative 2 divided by negative 4 reduces to plus 1/2 x. You can do it like that, or you could have done 8 minus 2x all divided by negative 4, and then just know that you need to simplify both, okay, if it can be. Alright, so there's an example. Let's look at a couple more. This one, xy plus w equals 9. Solve for y. Here's our y term. So the first thing we need to do is subtract the w. xy, w minus w is 0, equals 9 minus w. And to solve for y, you want to divide everything by x. So this is what I was saying. One's like this. Nothing's going to reduce there. You can just leave it 9 minus w divided by x. Perfectly fine to leave it like that. Okay. Example 4, solve x times 4 minus k equals p. We need to solve for k. K's on the inside, so instead of distributing, we can go ahead and divide both sides by x. And that's because k's on the inside, okay, that you can do that. So the x cancels. You're left with 4 minus k equals p divided by x. Now we're solving for k, and it's a negative, so we'll have to deal with that in a minute, but you want to get rid of the 4, so minus 4 on both sides. So you have negative k equals p divided by x minus 4, and, excuse me, that's my dog. Alright, so from there, divide by negative 1 to get rid of the negative. Okay, so divide everything by negative 1. What that leaves you with is k equals a negative p over x. Negative 4 divided by negative 1 is plus 4. And there you are solved for k. Alright, now let's see, we have some word problems similar to what we had started with. The perimeter of a square field is given by the equation P equals 2L plus 2W, where P represents the perimeter, L represents the length of the field, and W represents the width of the field. Solve the formula for L. So, what you want to do is, I'm going to rewrite the equation here, 2L plus 2W. We are, come out very well. You need to solve for the L. Here's your variable term, so minus the 2w. So p minus 2w equals 2l, and then divide by 2. So when you divide this side by 2, you need to divide both. P divided by 2 minus the 2's cancel, so minus w. Okay, so L equals P divided by 2 minus W, and I do not like how that came out with the pen. There you go. Alright, so part B, find the length of a field that is 50 yards wide, so that's W, and has a perimeter of 220, that's P. So the length equals 220 divided by 2 minus 50. 220 divided by 2 is 110, minus 50 gives you a length equal to 60 yards. And there you go. That's a second word problem example. The next slide is your you try problems. So there are those. Go ahead and try those, and we'll go over them during the next class.